So here's one of the other projects we've been working on. We've actually been out here working on it today. Um, we bought a pair of Range Rover Classics a while back, and we haven't had a ton of time to work on them. We finally figured let's get out here and do something to at least this one. So this rig here, I believe it's a 1990. Let me check the date though. Yeah, it looks like it's 1990. So it's a high mileage vehicle. It's got 220,000 miles, 230,000 miles on it, something like that. But it runs and drives. It needs a ton of service. I did the oil change on it so that we could fire it up. And our battery's not holding a charge, so I can't start it right this minute. But it runs pretty good. It's got some weird noises, but I think that's actually exhaust leaks we got going on. So we'll figure all that out. We have a new exhaust system for it. We have a ton of parts for it, actually. We've been accumulating stuff because these are kind of getting hard to find parts for. It needs the axles, or at least the wheel bearings done, because they're whining. We did take it for a drive, and they're pretty noisy, but you know, not really surprising at the kind of mileage. Jesse's been out here working today on this door latch. These break. That's a pretty common problem in them. And so we put new door handle on this side so you can actually open the door, and we have a key that works now. But you can see the interior's kind of rough. We've got new door panels for it. Somewhat the weirdest thing I've ever seen on one of these. So the door grips. It's probably easier to see on this one over here. You have your door pulls. Someone like bondoed them and then repainted the poles. I'm guessing they broke them, and they did it on all of them, front and rear. Super weird. But we went ahead and just bought new door panels because that's easier than trying to fix that. Plus they like cut big holes, you know, for their speakers and all that. The dash itself's not in too bad a shape, but the wood panel is real bad. So we're gonna pull this out. We actually have on some of these trucks, they actually just put a gray, like a matching panel, just plastic that matches in there for the vents instead of the wood. And we found one of those, and it's in really good shape. So we're just gonna put that in so we can pull the wood out. I like to do carpentry work, so I may try to refinish this one just for the fun of it. But I mean, there's a lot of the laminate that peeled off, but you can re-laminate it. Same with this center console wood grain piece. You got your window switches and your shift lever in here, and this wood is all, I mean, you can see the walnuts coming off of it. And we have replacements for that. You can buy those. The kits for those are pretty easy to get. But so we'll have to do that. We've been trying to say what to do on the seats because the seat upholstery, like almost all of these, is in terrible shape. It's done. The back seats aren't terrible, but you know, they're not great. But what we're thinking we'll do is just try to find an upholstery kit in gray that it matches as close as possible. It's kind of like a brownish gray, which is really weird. But we'll just get new front and rear seat upholstery, something in leather. We got to do a new headliner, so we'll just take the whole cart out. There's an upholstery shop down the street from us here that did Jesse's Range Rover P38 headliner, and they did a really nice job. So we'll probably just take the whole headliner out and take it over to them. They'll just get more of the material and do that for us. Just most of the work on this truck is really just interior stuff. I mean, these tend to get beat up on the inside, and finding the parts has been kind of a fun challenge. Well, I don't know if fun's the right word, but it's been a challenge, that's for sure. We have a ton of spare stuff for it though. Initially the plan was to get both this and the other Classic running. The other Classic though, someone had taken the ignition switch out, and that's a limited edition rig, and it had an alarm system with an immobilizer in it from the factory, and someone cut it all up. And so we can't even find wiring diagrams to piece it back together to fix it. So I think we've just finally made the decision of that's just going to be the parts truck for this one. It's kind of unfortunate because it is an LSE, so it is the limited, and it's got a lot of, like, those were high option trucks, right? A lot of cool features, but It's a lot lower mileage. It's 135, somewhere 135,000 miles versus 220, 230,000 miles. But yeah, as a parts truck, it might be better served actually. So we're thinking we'll get the engine like where we can turn it over. With the immobilizer thing, the key switch, the ignition switch doesn't work at all. We bought a new ignition switch for it, and yeah, you just can't. There's no getting it to work where it's all cut up. So what we're thinking is we'll just hot wire the starter motor and turn it over and see if we have good compression out of the engine. If we do, we might actually pull this engine out and put it in the other rig. But we're definitely thinking pulling the front axle, because the wheel bearings can be a pain to do. When you do them, you really need to do the axles and pretty much take the whole front apart, the whole differential apart, and rebuild all of it if you want it to work right, or hold up at least. And so we might pull that and just put it in the other truck, because 100,000 miles, that's a lot of extra wear. So these might be in a lot better shape. We don't really know yet, but we'll see. Yeah, it's kind of a shame to part out any vehicle, but you know what, if it keeps the other one on the road and makes it a good driver, it's probably worth it. The tan interior is pretty cool in this thing, so it's, like I said, it's a bummer. Let me see if I can open it. Yeah, its door handles were broken too, like all of them. Okay, here we go. So the front seat upholstery is gone. The back is actually in really, really good shape though. So I don't know, we may decide to pull the interior out of this and using the other one. I don't know. I know we're missing at least one door card, so like that could be a problem. I don't know if we can find tan. Tan might be hard to get. Oh, here's that panel I was telling you about for the dash though. There's the plastic vent cover to replace the wood. Here's where everything's cut up though. Get a shot in here. Or at least one of the areas where things are cut up. These have like a switch that keeps it from being able to go into gear when you don't have the key in. Someone hacked that all up to try to get it so you could move it into gear without a key. And then here's the real mess. See, stuff's been hacked together a few times, I'd say. We think this might be part of the alarm system, this module here. We don't really know though, there aren't diagrams for this particular year of truck. So it's just kind of a shot in the dark, a lot of guessing, and that's why we're thinking it's probably not going to make sense to fix this one. Here's our new ignition switch we got, but it's missing the little sender unit for the immobilizer, plus, that's all the wiring for the immobilizer. It's all cut up. Both vehicles have been parked for a long time. This one has been parked longer, hence the lower mileage. But I mean, you can see like mice have gotten into stuff and made nests. So it probably just makes more sense to part this one out and, technically just use the parts over on the other truck, but we'll see what we do. They're cool rigs. They're fun to drive. They're not like fast or anything like that, but they're pretty utilitarian truck that it's kind of like a luxurious Jeep in all honesty. There's people complain about them and say they're really difficult to work on. They're really not that bad. The electronics can be a little sketch, but everything from that era is kind of that way. Honestly, the thing that has given us the biggest grief with this truck has just been user error. The previous owner had tried to fix some stuff and hadn't done it quite right. So most of the stuff was just things we had to fix, like just put back to correct. Wasn't anything really that difficult though. I mean, like the alternator, this isn't the right alternator. We have it in there so that we have something, but we're gonna have to get the right one. But they were missing the bolt for the bottom bracket, right? They had, I don't know, lost it or something, who knows. This alternator's out of the green rig, which is a different year, and it's a little different setup, so you can't get the belt tight. The right belt for it doesn't go on tight. So we got to get the other alternator with the bigger pulley. And like he put a new radiator hose, the upper radiator hose, which is great. He put it on upside down though. So this end's supposed to be on the intake manifold and that end over here, which then would get it over the alternator so it's not touching. I got to drain the coolant so I can fix that. But just lots of little things like that. Oh, like the other fun issue was like he couldn't figure out why it wouldn't start when we went to look at it, to buy it. The distributor was unplugged and the rotor was on. Well, it wasn't on all the way, but it was on backwards. Flipped the rotor around, hooked the distributor back in, fired right up. So just lots of little things that were just, that didn't have anything to do with Range Rover. That was just, you know, inexperience with working on vehicles, like on these vehicles, I would guess. But, you know, minor things really. You know, the ABS system seems to work on it, which people have had issues with those in the past. This is the ABS unit, it's a vacuum pump. It doesn't run off of engine vacuum, it has its own vacuum pump for the ABS system. Seems to work though, so, you know, fingers crossed it stays that way. But it's a you know, it's kind of a rough thing, but it's kind of fun to play with. So we'll see if we can make this a good driver again. We'll see. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video if you've enjoyed it. But yeah, be sure to tune back for more Barn Find Garage videos.